So, when did this start?
Heather's confirmation.
7th of September.
There's something in the attic.
Ed, there's an evil here. Something I've felt before.
This week on Talking About the Movies, it's the end of the road for Ed and Lorraine Warren as we look at the last case they ever took in the 9th and final installment, we think, of the Conjuring universe called The Conjuring: Last Rites. We'll take a look at that, plus...
It's my favorite architect. How's married life?
The kids are amazing.
We're going to the beach!
All right, don't drown. Ivy, it's a monster success.
Would you do a photo shoot for New York Magazine?
Nude?
I don't think so.
Well, we'll do it anyway.
But you are still a failure.
We got fired.
We're making a love story. Again. Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman star in the remake of the classic Michael Douglas, Kathleen Turner, Danny DeVito dark comedy, The War of the Roses, simply titled The Roses. It's a double feature coming your way this week on Talking About the Movies. And welcome to Talking About the Movies, as we're continuing my 20-year celebration of me covering the biggest new releases of the weekend. I'm coming back a couple of weeks after my last episode, essentially breaking the promise that I made to you guys at the beginning of the year of having a new episode every Sunday for the rest of this year, anniversary year. And unfortunately, I just didn't have enough material to put together an episode for last week. I was going to do my most overlooked gems of the last 20 years, and I kind of realized that I kind of already had done that with with another 20th anniversary episode I did earlier in the year, so that's why I kind of pushed that aside. But yeah, I felt bad not giving you guys a legitimate episode this week. But we do have one this week because I have seen 2 movies this week, one of the new releases and also one from last weekend that I was looking forward to seeing. But before we get to that one, of course, let's talk about this weekend's big new release, and that is, of course, the final installment of the Conjuring series. Yeah, we'll see what happens, considering the fact that this is making an ungodly sum of money that most people, including myself, weren't even expecting it to do. But hey, it's a good time for horror movies, and especially a good time if you're at Warner Brothers or New Line, because you're raking in the dough right now, because you've had Sinners, Final Destination Bloodlines, Weapons, and now The Conjuring: Last Rites. In The Conjuring: Last Rites, Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga return as paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, taking on their most disturbing case to date. Jack and Janet Smurl and their family move into a brand new home they've dreamed of, which turns into a nightmare as their home begins to show signs of demonic infestation. And yeah, like I said, this is supposed to be seen as the last installment of the Conjuring series. You know, this is the 9th film in the series, which, to be perfectly honest, I mean, remember when Warner Brothers was trying really hard to have their own Marvel Cinematic Universe with DC? Well, they really didn't need it because they had this, and it was working really well for them. It was a very successful film franchise. Most of the movies in here are really good. There's a couple of bad ones. The first Annabelle movie, the Nun films, The Curse of La Llorona, and, you know, all the Conjuring movies are really good, and they do work because the scares are actually legitimately good. At least in the first couple films they are. And the fact that they were able to improve on other films in the series. I mean, the first Annabelle movie was not that great, but the second one was actually really damn good. Surprisingly really damn good. And also The Nun 2 was actually kind of a nice little surprise. So this one's not getting as good of a reception as some of the other movies in the series have done, but it's still much better compared to a lot of other horror films and horror franchises in general. I mean, I would gladly take this series over the Paranormal Activity movies or the Saw films any day of the week. The ones that kept getting worse and worse as they went along. But then again, the last Saw movie was pretty good. But Paranormal Activity, yeah, definitely a better example of a series that started off strong and then came cratering down. But as far as this one goes, it's perfectly fine. And I think what makes it work is because because you do like the performances, the characters of Ed and Lorraine Warren. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga have done a fantastic job of making these characters their own and making you want to get invested in their adventure here and essentially, you know, get involved in their whole thing, because they're dealing with a lot of really serious supernatural shit. And, you know, Vera Farmiga in particular is the one that really cannot take it all in general in these movies. And yeah, it really is something where, yeah, you feel for these characters being in this situation here. And the film does a very good job of creating this nostalgic feel to it. It feels like a film that is very much, it feels like a movie at times that does feel like it's it's actually a 1980s movie, because it does take place in the 1980s, and it works because everybody in here is giving it their all. Even the scares in here aren't nicely effective at times. There are some good jump scares in here, which is very hard to come by. Like I said, a lot of horror movies can only wish they could do something like this in general. Is it the best of the Conjuring movies? I'm not going to go that far. I still think the second one and the first one are two of the best ones in general. And, of course, Annabelle Creation was actually really good. Yeah, other than that, though, this one is definitely in the middle of them all. Not bad, per se, but, I mean, it's still heads above a lot of other horror franchises in general, as I said before. But the big question is, does this feel like it's the end of the road? They make it seem like it is, because the film does have closure. I mean, it does wrap up the storylines from the previous movies and kind of pays homage to the original films as well. And it does essentially set up that, yeah, this is setting itself up for the end. But like I said, this thing is making a killing right now at the box office. I think I checked on Deadline Hollywood before I did this review. This thing's gonna probably make $80 million before the weekend is over with. Something that nobody was expecting for this movie in particular. Sorry, I got an itch above my nose. My nose is. I'm like Cartman on South Park. I wasn't picking it. I had an itch. God damn it! But no, I was looking on Deadline Hollywood. They were saying this could go up to $80 million for this particular weekend when it's all said and done, which is unheard of, because none of these movies. I mean, these movies do make money, but they don't make that much money in general. I don't know, maybe it's just this weekend. Warner Brothers apparently has made this weekend their own, because this is the same weekend we got It. The It movies came out on this weekend, and they did very well. We get this last year, of course, we had Beetlejuice. The year before that, The Nun 2. So maybe it's just this weekend in general. And this thing only cost $55 million to make, so somehow, some way, they're gonna find a way to make a sequel to this, even if they have to continue it with a new series of characters and not just, Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, because it does feel like this is the end of their story. And maybe they can continue, maybe there's a chance they'll continue this on in another film in general, or even another spin-off movie. They've been talking about doing some other ones with other characters involved in here in general. But if it is the end, it's ending on a good enough note. I would say that this is a really damn good series of films overall. It can be very creepy, it can be very effective, it can be very entertaining. It's a really fun movie. It's a really enjoyable film. If you like the other Conjuring movies, I think you'll find a lot to admire about this movie in general. If I probably would have to rank this somewhere, probably would be in the middle of the series in general, maybe above most of the spin-offs, but maybe in terms of the actual Conjuring films themselves, I'd probably put this a little bit below the third one, even with that one's lackluster title. The Devil Made Me Do It. It's like something that your kid says whenever they break a priceless item, and you're going like, what did you do? And it's just like, it wasn't my fault. The devil made me do it. I never liked that title for that movie, but this I would say that this is just below Devil Made Me Do It, but sort of in the middle of the series in general. Like I said, I've enjoyed most of these movies. Some have been better than others. Others have been pretty bad, and we've talked about some of those in this particular episode. Honestly, if I had to rank all the Conjuring films in general, what would I rank them under? I'm trying to think myself before I give you this. I would probably say The Conjuring is at the top. Conjuring 2 is right there. Maybe Annabelle Creation. Then The Devil Made Me Do It. Then Last Rites. Then Annabelle Comes Home. The Nun movies, and Annabelle I think is the worst one of the bunch, but mostly because, you got a hack director making that movie. And I guess you can add in The Curse of La Llorona, which I'd probably put that just below Nun 2 and also Annabelle, right in the middle there. So, yeah, this is definitely right in the middle of those movies in particular, but a good movie overall. I think it's definitely a lot better than people let on. If you love the other Conjuring movies, I think you'll find a lot to admire about this one in particular. So, yeah, I give this one a very solid recommendation. If you like the other movies, you're going to enjoy the hell out of this one. So, yeah. Thumbs up on The Conjuring. No question about it. So, let's go ahead and take a quick little break here. And when we come back, it's time to go ahead and wake up and smell the roses. The Buffalo Bills are one of the best teams in the AFC. The Baltimore Ravens are also one of the best teams in the AFC. Both are proud to offer the most valuable players in the NFL over the last 2 seasons,
and both are looking for that one golden opportunity to take down the king of the AFC in Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. But while the battle has been to take down Chiefs Kingdom, there's a battle between both teams that continue to pursue a victor. The Buffalo Bills have made it to the playoffs in 7 of the last 8 seasons with 2 trips to the AFC title game. Baltimore has made it into the playoffs 6 of the last 7 seasons with only 1 trip to the AFC title game. At some point, both the Ravens and Bills have met to move forward in the postseason, but both have suffered a similar fate. Excellent regular seasons, not so much in the postseason. The always the bridesmaid, never the bride type of scenario if you will. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens got a gigantic jolt in their offensive front last season in the addition of Derrick Henry, who in the regular season crushed the Bills' defense early on an 87-yard touchdown run on their very first offensive drive en route to a 35-10 win. In the postseason, Henry couldn't even recoup that as the Bills' defense kept him contained to just 84 yards on that fateful January day. Despite that, the Ravens still had the chance to win with a last-minute touchdown in the fourth quarter, only to have Mark Andrews drop the 2-point conversion that would have tied the game. As for the Buffalo Bills, their window is very much alive, but the signs are beginning to show a possible closing sooner rather than later. Last season, the Bills rocked with a combination of great passing plays from MVP Josh Allen and great running from running back James Cook, and Allen sealed an impressive game winner against KC in the regular season. But once again, the magic fell flat when a trip to the Super Bowl was on the line. Tonight, these two runner-ups in the fight to take down Mahomes duke it out again, and a win tonight could do wonders for the winner in the race to be trip to San Francisco come February. For the first time ever, the last 2 MVPs in the league meet in the season opener for the ages as the Buffalo Bills welcome in the Baltimore Ravens tonight on the premiere of the Reviewing Network Live Sunday Night NFL Rewatch. The following is a presentation of the Reviewing Network Sports. Yeah, I admit I was pushing a little bit hard there for that closing line there. But hey, when am I ever going to see another movie called The Roses? But and have that and use that phrasing there. But anyway, this is The Roses. This is based off, of course, of the book of the same name, The War of the Roses, which was turned into one of the greatest, if not the greatest, black comedy you'll ever see in your life. With The War of the Roses from Danny DeVito, with Michael Douglas, and I did it again. Michael Douglas, Kathleen Turner, and Danny DeVito. I did this last time around too, but yeah. This is a new version of it, starring Olivia Colman and Benedict Cumberbatch, and the storyline is pretty much the same as the original story. Life seems easy for picture-perfect couple Ivy, played by Olivia Colman, and Theo, played by Benedict Cumberbatch. Successful careers, great kids, and an enviable sex life, but underneath the facade of the perfect family is a tinderbox of competition and resentments that ignited with Theo's personal dreams come crashing down. And this is directed by Jay Roach, who of course gave us the Meet the Parents movies and Austin Powers. Written by Tony McNamara, who of course wrote the script for Poor Things, which was a terrific film with Emma Stone winning her second Oscar. And this features an all-star cast and also includes Andy Samberg, Allison Janney, Nikuchi Gatwa from Doctor Who. You have Kate McKinnon in here as well. And my biggest thing going into this movie that I was really worried about was how dark was this movie going to go? Because The War of the Roses is one of those great dark black comedies that, when it was coming out at the time in 1989, you have to remember that a lot of movies back then were all about the happy endings. And if you ever watch old Siskel and Ebert episodes from back in the day, that was one of the big things that a lot of people that they were really getting antsy about, was the fact that, you know, every movie's got to have a happy ending. Like you know, Julia Roberts has got to get together with Richard Gere. You know, Patrick Swayze's got to have closure with Demi Moore. That type of stuff. But it's just like Danny DeVito looked at all this and went like, yeah, fuck that. I'm making a story where the main couple is going to die at the end of the movie, because that's literally how the movie ends. They get so heated into this hatred for one another that they end up getting caught in the chandelier. The chandelier is breaking on them, and they know that they're about to die, and they're going to, and the chandelier breaks, and it literally kills them, and that's the end of the movie right there. And back then, that was a pretty bold move, and it paid off big time, because the film went on to become a critical and commercial success. It went on to become one of the best movies of the year, and it was one of the few movies that said, fuck the happy ending, we're going to give you the cold hard truth about this storyline, and knowing that it's not going to end well. I was really worried about this movie not doing the exact same thing. I feel like that the rating had to be extremely important on this, which you did get an R rating, but what kind of an R rating? I mean, this is a movie that really had a lot of big shoes to fill if it was going to be as bleak and as sadistic as the original film was. And it is kind of like that, but not really like that. And because of that, it's a very mixed bag of a movie. A lot of it I did like, but a lot of it I didn't like. I didn't like the fact that they didn't go as dark as the original War of the Roses did, which I feel like was a major missed opportunity here, especially with the guy who wrote Poor Things. But I think it's because you had a marketable director in Jay Roach, who've been known to be making comedy blockbusters. But in this case, it's just like, it probably should have gone to somebody else besides him as the director. I feel like maybe the director of Poor Things, who's the director? He also did Kind of Kindness, and he's doing another Emma Stone movie. Yorgos Lanthimos, that's the guy. I feel like if you had gotten him to direct this movie, I think this movie could have been so much more than it actually was. It probably could have gone to that dark level that the original Danny DeVito film did. Hell, even somebody like Taika Waititi, I think, could do that. I mean, he's proven how well he can do with dark comedy thanks to Jojo Rabbit. I mean, it wouldn't be impossible for him to make this film more sadistic than it needs to be, but that's the biggest flaw with the movie. I don't think it goes far enough to where it can even pale in comparison to the original War of the Roses movie. But with that said, the casting overall is really good. I do think Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman work off each other very well as this couple. You could tell that they have been in this marriage for a long time, and they're at the point where, you know, they just can't take it anymore. And, you know, for anybody who's getting a divorce or wants to divorce their spouse, these movies are a perfect sum up of the dark, sadistic ways that you can go ahead and end your marriage without an actual divorce, like literally going to kill your spouse and doing anything you need to. But I mean, they work off each other very well here. I think the casting overall is really good. So yeah, I'm very mixed on this movie. I wanted it to be on the same level as the original War of the Roses, and I think that was maybe my biggest error going into this, expecting the film to be like that. But then again, early in the month we had The Naked Gun, which is one of my favorite comedies of all time, and that film was able to recapture the magic of the original Naked Gun movies without you know, while modernizing it for a new generation and making it work very well. This one doesn't quite hold that same level there, and you could tell that it is trying. I think the biggest problem is it's got a marketable director behind it in Jay Roach, a guy who's known for making blockbuster comedies, and it should have gone to a more independent filmmaker, like a guy, like I said, you know, Yorgos Lanthimos from Poor Things and Kinds of Kindness, and also Taika Waititi. Like, I think if you got somebody like that, they could have made this absolutely incredible. As it is, it's good. I'm not going to say it's a bad movie by any means necessary, but it's a film that I kind of wish was much better in terms of the darker comedy. Like, be more like the 89 movie. And I think it's going to be tough to... I thought it was already going to be tough to do that in the beginning here. This movie doesn't go to those levels, and I think that's the biggest flaw of the film in general, is that it doesn't go to quite those levels, and I really wish that it would have gone to that part, but sadly it doesn't do that here. And as far as the movie itself goes, it's just passable. If I had to be honest with myself in terms of my review, I was really bordering between a marginal thumbs up or a marginal thumbs down, because I really couldn't justify my overall thoughts to justify how I really feel about this movie, is what I'm trying to say. So, because of that, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a mixed review. There was a lot of it I liked, but there was a lot of it I didn't like, largely in the tone it took, and the fact that they probably got the wrong director to do this movie. But as it is, like I said, it's okay, but I think you'd just be better off just watching the Michael Keaton... I did it again. Michael Douglas. Okay. I'm keeping that in there, too, so you know that this is not... So you know that I'm saying this, but... I think you would be better off watching the Michael Douglas, Kathleen Turner, Danny DeVito movie before you would even consider watching this one here. I would wait for this one. Wait for it to come out on Hulu. I think this is this would be probably perfect for a Hulu movie if you're trying to find something to watch on there that you haven't watched before. I don't think this should have gone to the big screen. I don't think there was that big of a demand for a remake of The War of the Roses on the big screen with the director of Austin Powers in theaters. This felt like something that was probably intended for Hulu, but then Disney came in and said, no, we got to put some movies on the big screen, put it out there, and this was the end result of that. So like I said, not a bad movie, not a good movie, just a mostly mixed opinion on that. So there you go. That's my thoughts on The Roses. So with all that said, that's going to wrap up this episode of talking about the movies, and I thank you guys so much for watching this one. I really do appreciate it. And if you enjoyed this and want to see some of the other reviews I've done, check out my last video I did taking a look at the best and worst movie years of the last 20 years, as well as taking a look at the playlist below. Next time on the show, we do have another episode, another 20th anniversary special, and this time I should have material for this one here, because we are taking a look at the best overall film performances of the last 20 years. Taking a look at several of my personal favorite film performances of the last 20 years in movies. And we'll take a look at those coming up on the next episode. So if you enjoyed this, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button. And I will see you guys next week for the next episode. So until then, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.